Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for January 29th, 2026. Thank you for joining me. Final Skraby show of the week. We have just a big potpourri today that we're going to do. I'm going to try to come up with a lineup for the Padres. I've looked through some free agents and I've been realistic about it. I couldn't go and look at the free agents that were expensive and put them on the list because I don't think that's going to happen. So I went through on two websites, a bunch of free agents, and I will tell you a couple of them that I think might work for the Padres. But Padres did make a signing today, and we'll get to that in just a second. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. Now, the Blues Brothers movie, apparently, everybody is like, you have to see this movie. You have to see this movie. I've seen bits and pieces. I've never watched the entire movie, but I don't know why I would have watched the movie. It was made in 1980. I wasn't born until 1985, and by the time I could watch it, it was the year 2000. So it was like 20 years later. I will try to watch it, but I also just saw that it's a musical. It's a musical? Please tell me it's not a musical. I don't do musicals. I am not a musical person whatsoever. Like I'm not a fan of the musical. Now I'm watching like a preview with no sound, and there's a bunch of people dancing and singing like it's a musical. I would not have said musical at all. But apparently it's a musical. Not Broadway style, more concert. I don't know. I'm not into it, but maybe I'll watch it. I mean, if Chris and Tony say that it's good because I know they don't like musicals as well, I think musicals were ruined for me because growing up, we watched Mary Poppins like 5,000 times because of my sister, and we also watched the Sound of Music like 5,000 times because of my mom. So maybe that's why musicals were not, maybe that's why I have an aversion to musicals. Nate says it's a comedy. Jake says no, not a musical. Then why did someone earlier say it was a musical? It has great blues singers and songs. Cole says Sound of Musical is beautiful. Yeah. Oh, Grease. I haven't seen Grease in a long time. A very long time, but I have seen Grease. So, anyway, more like music videos in the middle of the story. What about West Side Story? I've seen West Side Story. I actually really like West Side Story. When you're a jet, you're a jet. I do like that movie a lot, actually. I had to watch it in college for a film class. Here's something people don't know about me. I originally wanted to be a movie director. That is not a joke. I grew up loving movies and directing and writing and trying to make my own home movies, and so I wanted to be a movie director. So I went to school and I took some cinema classes, and I realized after that movie directing is very difficult. It's a very difficult industry to get into. But I even thought about going to the I don't know if it's still around, but I believe it's in Santa Barbara, the Brooks Institute of Photography. I almost thought about going there because they have a bunch of different types of classes so that you can make movies. They have, lighting, they have makeup, they have the actual, using the cameras, they have everything that you could do. But anyway, I wanted to be a movie director for a very long time. So I took these classes and I had to watch West Side Story, and I liked it. Trevor says Grease is excellent. Very excellent. Cole Brooks is his last name. Says crazy. They use my name and likeness. All right. Let's get into what the Padres did today. And it's not a massive signing. I'm making a big deal out of it because it is a signing. It's something. And it's interesting for a few reasons, but they brought in veteran left-hander Marco Gonzalez. He's agreeing to a minor league deal. They have not actually confirmed this, but everybody's reporting it. So he has the invitation to spring training. And if he makes the Padres big league club, he's going to get $1.5 million. He can also earn another $1 million with incentives. Now, this is interesting for a couple reasons because Marco Gonzalez at a point was a solid pitcher in Major League Baseball. He's been hurt the last 2 years, so he, doesn't really have any current numbers. His numbers, he struggled towards the end before he got Tommy John surgery. But I like this move in the way of, hey, if you bring in a bunch of guys, at least one of them's going to stick, right? I think that's kind of what they did last year. They brought in a bunch of guys, Gavin Sheets, Forrest Wall, Tirso Ornelas. Like, one of them has to stick. And last year, Gavin Sheets was the one who really stuck for the Padres. But a veteran pitcher, I think, and Tony said this a little bit earlier, or some form of it, veteran pitchers and older pitchers know how to reinvent their career, or a lot of pitchers know how to reinvent their career. But if you want to be successful as an older pitcher, you have to reinvent your career. So maybe that's something that Marco Gonzalez is trying to do. This could be a serviceable number 5 rotation piece. We were talking about JP Sears earlier this week, and whether or not, I pencil him in at the 5th rotation spot at the moment. But if Marco Gonzalez can push him in spring training, he can pitch better than him. I think that Marco Gonzalez might be the 5th starter. Again, I'm not saying this is going to make the Padres win the World Series, but I am saying these are the signings that we are going to get. I don't expect any big name signings. Maybe a Max Scherzer for a small contract, or Justin Verlander for a small contract, but I do not expect anyone the Padres to pay like the, Chris Bassett's $16 million AAV. Now, is that a good price for a starting pitcher that is almost 37 years old? 16 million. I think that's probably a good price. It's kind of what guys are going for these days. Nick Martinez's market value, we talked about him the other day, $14.2 million. And he's going to be 36 at some point this year. So if you're not going to bring in guys like that are going to make double digits in the millions, then you're going to look and try to find the guys that no one's really looking at. And that's what Marco Gonzalez, that's what it seems like to me, is that his injury history may have scared a lot of people away, but he last pitched with the Pirates in 2024. He only pitched 7 games in 2024 before he got injured. But when he was with the Mariners, he was pretty good. He pitched, let's see, in 2020. Well, that's a bad year. 2021, 3.96 ERA. He's not a big strikeout guy, but he keeps the average down. He keeps the whip down. His whip in 2021, 1.17. The average against, 234. If you look at 2022, he had a 4.13 ERA. He made all 32 starts that year, 183 innings. And and this is why he's not a strikeout guy. He had 103 strikeouts and 183 innings. But this year, his whip was a little bit higher, 1.33. His whip keeps going up over the years, but I don't think we can really take what we're going to get from him by looking at his baseball reference page. I don't think that we should do that. So now, let's just say we definitely have Nick Pivetta, Joe Musgrove, Michael King, and we determined Randy Vasquez is the 4th. But now we have a couple guys fighting for the 5th. I mean, you can say that Matt Waldron might be trying to angle for the 5th. You could say Marco Gonzalez. You could also say JP Sears. There's a ton of guys within the system that they can try at the 5th spot. But if you're really worried about your starting pitching, you might not want to go and pay the $15-16 million for a Nick Martinez, but it might be worth it. It might be worth it. And Nick Martinez is a guy who can go from the bullpen. He can start and go to the bullpen. And he did that last year. So there's a little bit of flexibility there. But other than that, like Max Scherzer's average or his projected value is $9 million. Like, it seems like a lot, But if Max Scherzer, I know he was hurt most of last year, but if he can give you a performance that helps you win or at least keeps you in the game, then I'm fine with paying Max Scherzer $9 million. Last year, it was a struggle for him. He's going to be 41 this year. He started 17 games. He had a 5.19 ERA. But when it came to the playoffs and the World Series, he was a pretty solid pitcher for them in the World Series. And so guys like that are out there. Max Scherzer's of the world. During the World Series, he pitched in Game 3, and he went 4 1/3, gave up 3 runs. And then in Game 7, he went 4 1/3. He only gave up 1 run, but struck out 3. His strikeouts have gone down. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think we're going to get any younger at the pitching position. I don't think we're going to get any more expensive at the pitching position. I think that these are the guys that we're probably looking at. The Marco Gonzalez's of the world. And who knows, they might be able to make a trade and all that stuff. But yeah, that's the signing for the Padres. And again, it's not going to put them over the top to win the World Series, but at least there is going to be some competition in camp for that 5th spot. Trevor says, if Max gets 18 starts for $9 million, I take it. Yeah, I do too. I would not mind Max Scherzer on the team. All right. Again, you're listening to the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. You can watch if you want on YouTube. Just search 97.3 The Fan or at The Skraby Show. Also, you can go watch on Twitter, 97.3 The Fan SD, at Matt Skraby. Or you can listen on the Odyssey app. That is always there for you too. Eric says, you throw out non-Padre stats because they weren't under our pitching coach. I agree. The pitching whisperer, Ruben Niebla. All right, when we get back, I'm going to go through some of the free agents that I found out there to kind of plug some holes. And it's just me guessing, but I'm trying to realistically guess. So that's what we'll do when we get back here on 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, guys, Woodsy here. That SoCal sun and heat can crack your skin, make you look like a dry old salad.
Unfortunately, right now in baseball, the free agent situation for the DH first base market where we're currently at is not great. And that's basically what we're looking for here when I try to predict the lineup. Again, I'm trying to predict the lineup and I'm trying to do it in a way that's feasible, that's realistic, because I know the Padres are not going to spend a bunch of money on a first baseman or a DH. So I have to keep that in mind. But when you go through the options, it's not, they're not great. There are a lot of older guys. There are a lot of guys that are, on the back end of their careers. But there are a few guys out there that I think for the right price, they can bring in and see if they can help the team in some way. I don't think these guys are the Jason Haywards, the Yuli Gurriels, the Matt Carpenters. I don't think they're like that point in their career yet, at least for the ones that I am going to be talking about. But for if you're okay, let me go back to my sheet real quick. Because you have to fill those two spots, the DH and the first base. Or you only fill the first base and then you use Gavin Sheets as your DH. I don't think that I think they'll use Gavin Sheets as a DH, but I don't think that they're going to use him every single day throughout the year. So there needs to be some sort of option. And I'm the dude says what we need is an eighth shortstop. Well, CJ Abrams was rumored to be heading to the Padres. That's a rumor, a very, very, very rumor. But when I was looking at the lineup this morning and I was thinking, like, I don't want Fernando to be at the top of the lineup. I think he's better served elsewhere in the lineup. But in this kind of scenario, I don't know that the Padres have anyone on their team or in the system that can be a leadoff hitter. I want Fernando to hit maybe second or cleanup. But here's how I have it right now with the guys that are on the team, and then I'll talk about the players I think that they could bring in. So leading off, Fernando in right field. Bogey is second at shortstop. And I'll tell you why in just a second. Third is Manny, because that's where he always bats. I like Jackson Merrill at the cleanup spot. He did that at the end of last year. I think he was going to have a much better year. I think the cleanup spot is going to be great for him. You got fifth, Laureano. Laureano was very good in the middle of the lineup for the Padres when he was with the team. Then you have in my lineup, you have a blank because we don't have a first baseman yet. But you have Jake Cronenworth playing second base at 7. You have Gavin Sheets DHing at 8. And you have Freddie Fermin hitting 9th. And here's who. Okay, so we're going to look for a first baseman right now. And then we'll look for a DH. The first basemen that are out there are, again, a little bit older. But there is one name that, for the price, that I think they can go with. And it's going to be a return to the Padres. And again, I'm not saying these are the signings that are going to make them World Series champions. I'm saying these are signings that they could do for cheap and they can improve the team a little bit. Ty France is a free agent. Ty France was with the Blue Jays last year. His projected salary is like $1.6 million. So Ty France right there, like, he is not going to hit you 30 home runs, Ty France. He's not. But he could play good first base. And the Padres just need someone who is a good defender at first base that can hit some home runs throughout the year. Let's see. When he was with, like, he's been moving around a lot, which, probably hurts his numbers a little bit. But once he got to the Blue Jays last year, in 94 at bats, he hit 277, and he had 6 doubles and only 1 home run. But he has hit in his career upwards of 20 home runs. That's his career highs, 20 home runs in 2022. And then if you look at some of his other numbers, they are average numbers. They are not going to pop off the page at you. but I think the Padres already know what they're going to get from Ty France, the work ethic, and they know that he wants to get better. So when you're looking at him, here's his projected numbers for 2026, and let's see if we like them at the first base position. Projected numbers for Baseball Reference: 247 batting average, 10 home runs, 23 doubles, 50 RBIs, and you got an OPS of 685. Now that's where I take a turn a little bit, because this team needs more slug. And if you're not going to get more slug from someone, then better be a really great contact guy. Oh, wait, that was Luis Ariz. And we saw how that worked out. But a 685 OPS does not interest me. I need something in the sevens. I need more doubles. I definitely need more home runs. Last year in 138 games, he only hit 7 home runs. That was with the Twins and the Blue Jays. So Ty France is an option. Again, not going to win you a World Series. I keep saying that because I have a feeling someone's going to be like, well, he's not going to win his World Series. Here's another one for first base. Wilmer Flores. He played a long time with the Giants. He's played for the Diamondbacks and the Mets. But Wilmer Flores is an interesting one because he could be a DH and he can also play some first. He is 34 years old, so he's not as old as the Paul Goldschmidts of the world, Justin Turners of the world. But he is, last year, in 125 games, he hit 241. His OPS is 686. There we go with that. And so once I started looking at these things, I saw a theme. There's not much slug out there. And that's a problem. That is a major problem, because if you have your lineup where Fernando, slug, Bogey, slug, Manny, slug, Jackson, slug, Laureano, slug, but those guys have to do that. We say it all the time. Superstars have to superstar. And if they're not going to slug, then you're going to be putting yourself in the same spot that they were last year, where scoring very little runs and very little margin of error. And the Wilmer Flores thing to me was interesting because he has hit for power, and he did it at where the Giants play. He hit 23 home runs in 2023. He hit 284. He had an 863 OPS in 126 games. And that was when he was his age 31 season. Last year, 2024, he was injured for most of the season. He played 71 games, so I can't really look at those numbers. But I'm not going to let his 686 OPS from last year stop me from at least talking to him and looking into him. His career OPS is 745. His career OPS plus is 105. So that's about an average player, but at least there's a little bit more slug there. And he can fill in at first base. I'm not saying he's an everyday defender. I'm saying that he's going to be brought in, I would think, as a DH a little bit. And so that's about it for the free agents left on the market. I mean, you got Paul Goldschmidt, but he's going to be 39 at some point this year. He's projected to make $8 million. You got Rhys Hoskins, who will be 33 this year. He's projected to make $7 million, and I know we've talked about that a little bit. I think Rhys Hoskins probably was in a place last year that he wasn't he didn't perform well last year for the Brewers. So I think that's why a lot of people, when you say Rhys Hoskins, they're like, huh? Rhys Hoskins, why are you going to bring in that guy? He's old. He's not that old. 33 years old. But that's it for the first baseman. Now, if you look at the DHs on the market, you got some names. The first name that pops up is Marcell Ozuna, and I think we all know we're not really interested in that because he's getting up there in age, and also some of the off the field stuff from the past. Jesse Winker, we want him. His market value is $5.5 million. Now, say what you want to say about Jesse Winker, but Jesse Winker has a little bit more power than some of these guys. And I don't know that he would ever want to come to San Diego after trying to fight a fan in the stands. But last year he was mostly injured and he hit 229. But he can hit home runs. Not as many as I actually thought. Because when I looked earlier, I remember looking at his Cincinnati Reds seasons because those were good seasons for him. But in 2024, he played for 2 teams. He hit 14 home runs, 11 for the Nationals, 3 for the Mets. I'm not into Jesse Winker. Not into that. Let's go to our next contestant here. Justin Turner, not into that. There's also guys like Adam Frazier, not into that. For a DH, Gary Sanchez, not into that. Carlos Santana, not into that. DJ LeMahieu, not into that. But there's one more name, and it's if I'm talking about guys that are up there in age, this guy is up there in age, but he's still playing at a pretty high level, or at least high enough level. Andrew McCutchen of the Pirates, or was of the Pirates. I like Andrew McCutchen. I think that he's a good player. I think that he will be a good veteran for this team. I think that he can produce a little bit for this team. In 2025, he had a 700 OPS. He had 13 home runs. He hit 239, which isn't great, but I don't think that we're looking for a guy who's hitting in the 280s, 290s. I like Andrew McCutchen because of the pedigree that he has. And here's his projections for 2026. They're projecting him to hit 15 home runs, 20 doubles, 235 batting average, 713 OPS. Now, for a DH, those numbers are light. You want more of a 775, 750, 775 OPS. 15 home runs will do, but it's not necessarily a DH that's going to jump off the paper at you. If he could hit 20 home runs and get his RBIs up to like 60 and hit maybe, I would say 235, 240 is about right. And then OPS around 750, 775. I think if he does something like that, that's a very serviceable season for a potential Padres player. And Andrew McCutchen then could, I don't know that he's a leadoff guy at this point in his career. Actually, you know what? I should have looked at earlier, but I'm going to do it right now. We're going to look at what position he hit in last year with the Pirates. Okay. He was mostly batting second. So if you put him at second and fifth, then if you put him at second, McCutchen, then you're moving Bogey down, which means you have to take out, Gavin Sheets or Ty France. But McCutchen would be a great, I don't know that they're going to hit him second, but if he's in the middle of the lineup, I think that would be okay. I think he would be a good addition to the middle of the lineup. And then if you take Ty France out, because he's currently slated as my first baseman, but you have to leave Ty France in for this example. Gavin Sheets is the DH, so Andrew McCutchen's more of a DH. Andrew McCutchen could be the DH. And if he hits fifth, then he could move Laureano down a couple spots. You can move Jake Cronenworth from 7th to 8th. I like having guys at the bottom of the order who have some power, who have some way to drive guys in. I felt like last year, the bottom of the order was just, it was such a detriment to the team. It was almost automatic outs once they got past the number 5 hitter or 6 hitter. And I didn't see the slug at the bottom part of the order, and they're going to need the slug in the bottom part of the order. So if you bring in Andrew McCutchen, you're going to get a little bit more slug. Not necessarily a DH, but Andrew McCutchen and his entire package, the player, the skill, and the leadership, I like that. Trevor says he likes Jake in the 8 hole. I don't mind it either. Because Jake Cronenworth, for as much, I think the contract that he signed, even though it wasn't for a lot of money, I think the contract that he signed is why people think he's not performing up to that level. Last year, he hit 246. He had a 744 OPS, 11 home runs, 59 RBIs. He had a 2.4 WAR. I think that's a pretty solid season. I mean, when you were looking at batting average, no one really looks at batting average anymore because I guess it doesn't really matter, but a 246 batting average is almost average. So I don't think he did that bad last year. And if Jake can continue to hit doubles and triples, because he is a good triple guy, then I think that he, at the 8th spot, would really help to score some runs. And last year we didn't see any runs from the bottom of the order, and we all know how that worked out. Rod says, I'd rather see Tirso or Nellis if he could step it up like Sheets. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to get the opportunity in spring training. We saw Tirso last year a couple times during the season. When he was at the major league level, I don't think it went his way. He was put in some tough positions, but I think he's going to get a shot in spring training, and he could be the Gavin Sheets. But these are the names that are out there. So don't expect, unless there's some big trade or something, don't expect a big name, a huge free agent name to come to the Padres. And I think you can make some of these work. You do need a mix of younger players and veterans. And I don't think Andrew McCutchen is the Matt Carpenter yet. Maybe next year when he's 40. But I think he could help a team for this year. I definitely, now that I'm thinking about Jesse Winker more and more, no, don't bring him over here. I can't do the Jesse Winker thing. I just can't do it. All right. That's what I had for the lineup. It's going to be interesting because I don't like having Fernando in the leadoff spot. I need him to be a little bit further down. Maybe the cleanup spot, just so he can have the opportunity to drive in runs. At the leadoff spot, if he walks, we complained last year about Fernando in the leadoff spot and the lack of slug. Now, he did slump for a lot of the season, but this team's a lot better when Fernando is coming up to bat with guys on base, because, he's going to drive in those runs, and he had no opportunity to last year because he was always leading off the game. Dude Man says, I wonder if any team has ever looked to Japan Korea for a strictly DH player. I bet you they have. There was a guy, I can't remember his name. I believe he was from the KBO, hit a bunch of home runs. I don't think any team signed him. But I think that is something that they're looking at as well. And that's part of AJ Preller that we just can't predict, because he's really good at the international signings, and you just never know when one of those guys is going to hit. The transition period from KBO and NPB to Major League Baseball is something you have to pay attention to. Then you look at, say, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Once he got through it, he was just fine. So we got a lot of stuff to do here before spring training, which is in less than 2 weeks now, or at least 2 weeks now. All right, when we get back, more potpourri. We'll talk a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about the NFL. Also, we have the Daily Gripe at the end of the show. This is the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan. Final segment of the Skraby Skraby Show here on 97.3 The Fan. Just trying to get the YouTube all together. If you would like to see what I look like or join the community, you can just go to @the Skraby Show on YouTube. We still got a daily gripe to go. I wanted to Daniel on the chat mentioned that Tirso Ornelas. Let me read this. Da 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 da. Man, it went way up there. Tirso Ornelas just became champion with Charles de Jalisco in the Mexican Winter League. He played his butt off in left field the whole season and postseason. So he's doing the work. He's doing the work. I cheer for guys like Tirso Ornelas. I want him to make the team. I want him to be success. Like, I want that to happen. And so hopefully all this playing throughout the winter and working on his craft is going to pay off for him one day. Dwayne says, I almost did it again. I almost said a swear word. I did shoo. Smash the Numbers is trying to get me to present a game to Chris. There's actually a Millennials versus Boomers trivia game. Just looked it up. Only $18. Could literally use the cards from there. The problem with coming up with ideas is if Chris doesn't like it, then he doesn't want to do it. I would love to do something like that. I would be fine with it. But, Mr. Smarty Pants, Chris Ello, doesn't want to do it. I'm going to bring it up to him. I'll see what he says. Okay, so I wanted to get this in real quick because I am not a social media person anymore. Like, I like to connect with everyone, but my brain is not built for it. I am not good at it because it's just too much all the time. It's anger. It's just there's always something going on. Every time I get on the app, I try to stay away from things, and then I look and I see something that makes me angry, and so then I want to like go look for more stuff. And so I've been really trying to stay away from social media. And I hope, that's not a reflection of me not wanting to talk to any of you. It's more, I can't handle it. And I think that's probably a healthy boundary for me. I know that for my job, it's actually been, if I'm being quite honest, it's been a battle in my head. How often should I be going on social media? Blah, 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 because I know I want to talk to everyone. But every time I do, I get angry. I'm looking for. Today is not one of those days for me. Today is not a good day for me. Anyway, I came across this article about social media, and the whole article was about bots online. And if you don't know what a bot is, it's a robot. And robots now can make posts and retweet things and reply to posts and all of that. And so I was looking at this article, and they tracked a subject. They tracked something that was happening last year. And when they went to go look at the responses and when they went to go look at the responses, when they went to go look at the engagement, they found that there was a high level of bots in the responses and engagement. There was around 36.7% of the respondents and engagers were bots, meaning no one is actually talking to these people online. And so these bots are designed for one thing. They're designed to become anger machines. And what they do is they use AI to reply to a tweet that you sent or a reply that you sent. And the goal for this tweet or for this bot is to anger you even more. And so it's going to look at your post, and it's going to, search the internet, and then it's going to reply with something. And because it's replying with somewhat smart stuff, you're thinking it's an actual person. But it's not. There are so many bots on the internet. So this is, I guess, my PSA to be careful about who you get angry with, because sometimes you're not arguing with a real person. You are arguing with a robot. And I was shocked that over 30% of the engagers and respondents, which in this subject that they tracked, had over 2 million engagements and responses, if that's the word. And they found like over 30% were bots. Smash the numbers. I don't think I'm a bot, but maybe I am, and this is all simulation for the Skraby show. I am not one that believes that we're in a simulation. I legitimately, this is crazy. I legitimately was talking to a friend the other day, and she was telling me that she has this one friend who's kind of out there, but a normal person. But they were talking about, things in the country and all that. And they legitimately believe that we are in a simulation. Like, this person that I know is very smart and is a rational person. But they actually think that we are in a simulation. It's almost like being a flat earther or something like that. It's crazy. I don't even know what a simulation would be like. They think it's like the Matrix, where you get plugged into the back of the head and we're living in some computer world. I don't know. I don't really think it's we're not in a simulation. Now that I said that, we probably are in a simulation. Here are some quick stories before we get going to the Daily Gripe. The dunk competition for the NBA, the slam dunk contest, has 2 entrants so far. And this is why I think they need to cancel the dunk contest. Lakers center Jackson Hayes and Spurs rookie Carter Bryant. They've accepted the invitations to be in the NBA dunk contest. Bryant, he was the 14th overall pick in last year's NBA draft. He's averaging 2.5 points in 35 games this season. I loved the dunk competition back in the day. I really loved it. But it is not something I even care about anymore because you need bigger names. You need bigger names for the dunk competition than Jackson Hayes and Carter Bryant. Maybe those guys will be good one day. Maybe they'll be great one day. But right now, I'm not watching TV for that. Here's another small story. For Super Bowl betting, the American Gaming Association expects $1.7 billion to be bet on Super Bowl 60, which will be a 27% year-over-year increase, meaning more people are betting and more people are doing it in large amounts. $1.76 billion will be wagered. And there's going to be prediction markets now, too. We've talked about those before. The prediction markets people are starting to go to the prediction markets, which is like Kalshi, and I think there's another one. I don't remember what the name of the other one was, but Kalshi's growing big time. And more than $79 million, they call it trading because it's almost like a stock type thing. But they had more than $79 million traded on the winner of the AFC Championship game. So people are kind of moving from the traditional sports betting over to like the prediction markets. I think both of them are bad. I think both of them lead to terrible places. But if you do it responsibly, I'm okay with it. It just is. It's pretty amazing to me how much betting has grown in like 2 years. Forever, it was illegal unless you went to like Las Vegas or Atlantic City or whatever, other casinos around the country. And now all of a sudden you can get it on your phone, and it has become one of the biggest things in the world, one of the biggest money makers in the world. And that tells me that there are also people losing their savings out there. And so I always want people to think about that part, because no one really talks about the people that are broke now. And a lot of people do that all the time. Or a lot of people have that happen to them a lot of the time. Bettors in New York, which is the largest sports betting market by volume of bets, they wagered $26.3 billion in 2025, which was a 14% increase from 2024. So this is just printing money. These companies are just printing money now. But all I got to say is just do it safely. You can bet. No one says you can't bet. Just don't go into a place where you're losing your home or your job or your family or anything like that.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
I haven't done a driving one in a little bit, but this one's going to be a driving one because it's very annoying, not upsetting. It's very annoying to me when, because I've been finding that people are either driving really, really fast or really, really slow. And here's the Daily Gripe. When you get stuck behind a person who is driving really slow and you can't get around because there's no way to get around, and then put on top of this happened to me last weekend. You get behind someone who's driving about 15 miles under the speed limit because they're afraid of the curves in the road. But then we have bicyclists in front, and that person's afraid to overtake the bicyclists. So I'm going 15 miles an hour behind this car as they're just waiting for the bicyclist to be in front of them. It really drives me nuts. At least drive the speed limit. Come on. At least drive the speed limit. Also, the people who turn on their turn signal and you're like trying to get past them. They're trying to turn right at a light or something. And then just forever, they take forever to turn. It's like, just turn the car. What are you doing? I don't understand it. Come on. I know I'm always in a hurry, but come on. Don't be like that. All right. That's all my ranting today. That's all my daily griping today. Bobby says, when people try to merge onto the freeway going 40, shaking my head. I'm with you, Bobby. I'm with you. Back with Gwen and Chris tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.
Chris Mack.